Philip Leese. I coordinate the Africa group. And today we have a very special guest from Cameroon. For students of Africa, one of the first things we learn is to be careful how we refer to Africa. And we find that the attempts to generalize often comes across more like stereotypes than really. The Republic of Cameroon is almost unique in revealing its mixed colonial experience by having both English and French as its official languages. To introduce our speaker, I call upon Professor John Fabanjong, Professor of Political Science at the University of Massachusetts, Dartmouth, Director of the African and African American Studies Program, who will introduce our.
We in New England decided to treat you to the visit of the King of Mankon in Cameroon. This is probably going to be the first time a Cameroonian king, an African king, gives a talk here on campus. The founder of Mankon, he's actually lived in 4 worlds. He's lived in the colonial world and in the post-colonial world. He's lived in the traditional world and in the modern world. In the colonial world, he interacted with British colonial administrators in Africa. By training, he is an agronomist. He's the first college-educated king in Cameroon. And thanks to his policies and thanks to his love of agriculture and the push for the Green Revolution. It is actually in his hometown that Cameroon's democracy was born. Historic in the sense that he embraced tradition, modernity, and been able to marshal both, and using that to help lead his people in Mankon, and then of course help lead people in Cameroon. Let's welcome him once again.
Mr. Chairman, ladies and gentlemen, I greet you and bring to you the greetings of Cameroon. I thank you for giving me an opportunity to meet you, to talk to you, to listen to you, and take something back home in the interest of my people. Here in this country, your leaders elected, but in my own country, I hold the office by inheritance. Some of you may not have visited Africa. But one thing is sure, that Africa had for many years been colonized by European countries and divided the continent in spheres of influence. And in my own nation, for about 100 years under the colonial rule, much was not done. Cameroon was a mandated territory after World War I to be administered by the British and the French. And after World War II, we agitated for independence. By 1960, we were given independence. First, it was that part administered by the French that had independence in 1960. The part administered by the British were to have independence on the condition that they chose whether to remain part of the protectorate, the British protectorate in Nigeria, or to reunite with the French sector. And in 1961, we opted for reunion with the French-speaking Cameroon. For the first time, we had access to make friendship with other countries. As you know, we had diplomatic links with your country. We have an ambassador in Washington, D.C., and you too have an ambassador representing you, your interests in Yaoundé, the capital of Cameroon. The king is appointed by the outgoing king. So I happen to have been chosen among my brothers and sisters, the only one to take over from my late father. And for the first time, the king of Mankon is illiterate, passing away and giving to a literate son. So I happen to be the first literate king of Mankon. So I'm very happy to be among you to explain to you and probably clear some of your doubts if you ask a few questions of how, since I was enthroned in 1959 as the founder of Mankon, how have I survived? You can imagine in our country, particularly from the northern region where I belong, there was only one hospital and one primary school. So you cannot rule without understanding the new setup, the political setup. So I was compelled to add to what is already a heavy responsibility. I had to contest and be elected into parliament, where the laws to administer the country were being drawn. I couldn't be indifferent. If I were traditionally to administer my people according to the customs, the traditions, and the culture of the people, with this new setup, copied from the ex-European masters, definitely there will be a problem, there will be a conflict. And I thought the best way to move forward is to marry the two systems, and also to get even those elected to understand. Most of them elected are commoners. They don't know anything about kingship. And allowed alone, there will be friction between kingship and those who are to rule the country then. So a marriage was necessary. I took the initiative to join in politics, to advise, to contribute in the debates, and to point out what must not be touched, what could be changed. From 1960 to 2007, I have played the role of a traditional ruler according to the customs and traditions of my people. I have played the role of a leader of my council. I have played a role, a very important role, to keep peace in Cameroon. As you may have heard, many countries in Africa have wars among themselves, or one country against the other. Thank God we have been able, up to this time, the kings of Cameroon have been able to assist the government to maintain peace since we had independence. To use our traditional ways of living together to solve problems that would have, without us, blown up into war. I've also found out that since America was not involved in the colonization and we have no animosity against America, this is a fertile ground